You're back in the back of the room at the Wild Gallery in Brussels. You're now looking at Nicola Singh, who is my first guest. Yes, here we are. Hi, good to see you if you're just joining us. We're literally physically in the back of the room at the Wild Gallery in Brussels. And the beauty is you as an online viewer already have your coffee, maybe even a slice of cake. So you're all set, you don't have to walk away. You can stay with us and we reward you for that, for giving you some additional exclusive online content. First of all, I'm going to talk to Nicola Singh, who is the head of projects and platforms at Interreg Europe. A little bit more about the state of the program, where we are, and a little bit more of the stories behind the figures we just saw. After that, we're going to zoom into one of the specific projects. We're going to talk to Andres Bro from Sweden about the RAISE project, which is all about enabling social enterprises. And we're going to discover what actual change has happened in Sweden due to the Interreg project. And after that, we're going to talk to Magda more about the policy learning platform and what's that all about. So stay tuned, because I'll take you straight back into the second plenary. And if you have any questions, use the opportunity to send them in via Slido. Nicolas, wow,
Hello.
That was a bit of a transition. Good to have you with us.
Thank you.
As leader of the projects and platforms at Interreg, how do you feel about this meeting here this morning? How are you standing here?
I have to say, well, first, thank you for inviting me for this interview. First, I'd like to say that we are very happy, because what is important with this event for us today is that it's the first time it's dedicated to the results and the achievements of the program.
Yeah.
You may remember we worked together in the past. We were launching call for proposals.
Yeah.
And when you launch call for proposal, it's quite easy to attract people, you know.
Yeah.
People see the funding, see the opportunities. We were really wondering how many people we would get today. And I was very happy this morning.
And it's a full room
yes,
online?
we had to find seats for them extra people. So I think this is a very good sign for us. But the aim was really first to share these results and achievements. So it's really an important point for us this year. In particular, when you look at the context in which we are at the moment. And what I mean by that is that member states, Commission, Parliament are negotiating the future programming period.
We heard some of that in the plenary.
Exactly.
There's some uncertainty in there.
There's some uncertainty, in particular for Interreg Europe. So this is really the year where we need to demonstrate that things are going well, that this program is very useful.
All right.
And if I may add one point, the second element why this day is important to us is also to try to convince new people, to attract newcomers. I think like in every Interreg program, sometimes you have a tendency to work with the same kind of region, same kind of people. This is not a criticism, because they can be very good. But we'd like to convince new regions, new managing authorities, that they can really benefit from what is going on in this program. Although we will not finance new projects, maybe the policy learning platform can help them, can find new solutions to help them in their regional development policies.
Yeah, because there's a lot of speak about the two legs of Interreg, right? The one leg being the projects being funded, which are really aimed at exchange and people joining each other, going on trips to find out how things are being done in other regions.
Yeah.
And the second one is the online platform,
yes,
where no matter whether you're in a project or not, you can learn.
That's exactly the point that you mentioned. You don't need necessarily to build a project, to find your partners, to spend 2, 3, 4 years in a cooperation with all sometimes the management issues you have behind. The idea of the policy learning platform, which is not only an online, I'd like to insist on this.
Okay. So how does it go offline?
But because we organize a lot of meetings. So far, I think since 2017, the policy learning platform has organized more than 35 events. So it's smaller event than today, and it's really thematically focused events. But these are going on, so all regions that are interested are more than welcome to join these meetings. Yeah. And this becomes even more important now, I would say, because all the funding of the program has been allocated already with the first call.
Now, and we heard Erin share some of the results. Impressive numbers, more than 16,000 people involved all over Europe, more than 258 projects. If you reflect on those results, is the program progressing as expected?
It's progressing as expected. I can confirm this. And what is interesting is that for all programs in EU, all structural fund programs, 2019 is an important year. Yeah. Because for the first time, the Commission will ask us where you are. You promised something 3, 4 years ago. You define a few indicators. It's called the performance review, if you want to know the words. And in 2019, we will need in June to report back to the Commission. Where are we with these targets, these indicators? In our case, to be a bit more precise, it's a number of action plans. We are producing, and it's a spending rate, whether the money has been allocated to the project. And the good news is that for both these indicators, we are really progressing well. For the finance, we are overreaching the target.
Yeah, which means the funds are really well utilized.
Exactly,
right?
exactly. They were committed on time and they are well spent on the ground. So this is a very good sign.
Yeah.
For the action plan, either we will meet exactly the target or we will be slightly below. Yeah. But if we would be waiting 2-3 months more, we would again overreach the target by far.
Exactly. And I'm trying to, the whole morning, trying to get, as a semi-outsider, get our viewers in the Interreg Europe language.
Yes.
When you talk about an action plan,
yes,
this is, as far as I understood, really where the knowledge exchange, the experience exchange need to land into a tangible plan in the local community, right?
Exactly, exactly. The action plan was more or less proposed to the projects to ensure that you don't stop after 3 years with nothing
with nice
really.
Meetings, nice field trips.
Exactly.
Oh, we had such a great time.
Erwin was saying the exchange for the exchange. That's not what we want. We want really the exchange to pay off and to lead to concrete results in the regions. What I'd like to say also is that even without the action plans, a lot of our projects, before producing the action plan, are already demonstrating that things happen.
Exactly.
That they have influenced this aspect, they are not financing new projects. So it's very encouraging that also this happens before the action plan is produced.
Wow. Very, very good news and good that this is happening to the Interreg Europe program. Before we wrap up, let's look at Petra and see if there's any Slido questions that may have been submitted by you before we went into the studio to the stage, but maybe Nicolas can answer some. Petra, what is happening at Slido?
Yes, we do have quite a number of questions. So maybe, Nico, we have one from Albert Hahn, who is asking that as a management authority for regional operational program, they would like to team up much more with the Interreg Europe program. Could we make it possible? How can we make it possible?
We see it here on screen as well, Nicolas. There's a lot of abbreviations here. So as the managing authority for regional OP, what is the OP?
Operational program.
Exactly, for the ERDF. So that's the European Regional Development Fund.
Exactly.
They would like to team up with the program. What are the possibilities there?
I would love we would receive more of this kind of questions because the managing authorities are our target group.
Yeah.
And it's not always easy to convince them about the added value benefits of interregional cooperation. So I need to meet this person.
So your answer to this question asker would be?
So I would answer that the program is designed for helping them.
Yeah.
So we are very happy to receive this. Yeah. Secondly, of course, the best way was to be involved in projects, maybe, but there may be partnership opportunities through the policy learning platform. So we may see with Albert if we can organize maybe an event in their country, so they share their experience as managing authority in interregional cooperation. There may be some solutions to be found within the policy learning platform, I would say. Right. But I really appreciate this kind of question.
Albert, thank you very much. Great question. You got it.
Yes.
This is why we exist. Petra, do you have more that you wanna that we can take?
But I thought maybe relating to what was discussed at the stage, they said, just do it, just get involved. We have a question, how do we get started if we have limited experience? So I suppose in cooperation, in the regional cooperation.
Yeah. So here's someone joining our live stream, sitting in their office, saying, okay, just do it. Where do I start?
I think the best way to start now, especially, is to go through the policy learning platform again. I'm repeating myself.
Okay, but if that's the answer to all, it's the answer to all.
We are also there, the GS in Lille. We are always happy to answer, to welcome. But if this person...
GS is the General Secretariat.
Joint Secretariat, I'm sorry, the core team that implement on a day-to-day basis. If this person means, I would like to know what is going on in innovation or in environment, then there is a very, very basic, simple services to be used. It's called the help desk of the policy learning platform. It's a place on the website, so you register, you become a member, and you can simply submit your question to our experts, and they will then get back to you. Maybe proposing you some contacts in Europe that can help you, providing you with some good practices. So maybe that's the best way to start.
So it's even so full service that I don't have to go search the platform myself, but I can just enter my question. I have a challenge with A, B, C, D, anything on the 4 topics.
Exactly. I think Magda will come back after me on this service. We were a bit disappointed because it was not so used so far, this service. Maybe we didn't promote it sufficiently, but it's a very easy way to get access to the thematic content of this program. So I would encourage this person to try it.
Beautiful, beautiful. Now to wrap up this chat, Nicolas, if you look forward You already mentioned quite some uncertainty about the program. However, the platform is there.
Yes.
What do you see as a possible future for this community?
Well, when I look at the future coming in the months or the year now to come, I would mention maybe related to the policy learning platform, I would mention a call that is coming very soon. I don't want to spoil anything, but
we might as well repeat it.
Okay, a call on the peer reviews opportunities. And we cannot find so many, but there will be very soon new opportunities for regions who are looking for solutions to apply to this call, and they will have some peers helping them to find solutions to this. So this is a very new opportunity that is coming soon. The second thing I would mention for us, which is very important, is 1st of July. Why, you may ask me, 1st of July? 1st of July for two reasons. In 1st of July, we will receive all the progress reports of the first call project, the 33 first call projects that finalize their phase one.
So they've gone through the entire journey,
phase
the entire cycle.
Exactly. Yes. And we're going to receive 247 action plans. I don't know about our summer. We won't get bored for sure. But this is very good result for us. So we are looking forward to dig into that. But at the same time, we will also receive for the first time the progress report on phase 2 of the first call project that was shorter in phase 1. So it's a complete new element for us, and we are also really looking forward to see what is going on in this phase 2 with the first project that went through that. More strategically, what you were saying is that my dream is that in the second semester we could start brainstorming and preparing a possible future program, but at the moment it's not really in our hands. We need to wait for the negotiation between Parliament, Commission and the Member States, but we are reasonably confident that maybe in the second semester we can start working on this new program.
And basically what you say that regardless how that part of the future goes, we have 4 calls of projects going on for the next few years, so there's still a lot of...
Until 2023, there will be a lot of opportunities, a lot of content coming out of this program, so regions can really contact us and get access to all this knowledge.
No reason to be negative or uncertain.
Not at all, not at all.
All right. Well, Nicola Singh, thank you very much for sharing these stories, for answering your questions. Thank you for asking the questions. If you have any more questions for Nicolas, submit them via Slido and we'll find ways to publish them on our social media channels or anywhere else, newsletters, whatever. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gerrit. Yes, thank you.
And talking about social media, at the start of this broadcast, I've asked you to share a picture of where you're watching. I've shared my picture with Mia already on all the social media channels at my exposure. So let's check in with Julie Paternoot, our social media manager on duty here today. Julie, what's happening online at the moment?
Well, you know, Gerrit, our hashtag europecooperates is buzzing with people in the room and what's going on. But our online audience is actually being really quiet. So again, you know, tweet us, you know, tag us in, give us pictures. We want to see where you are and that you're watching us and why you've come to our event today. So please, we want to hear from you.
Well, you'll start waving if anything happens. And let me make that more beneficial to you. The reason why you want to do this, in the end, you might be by yourself or with 1 or 2 colleagues anywhere in Europe. But if you actually share with us through the hashtag where you are, who you're with, we can start some virtual networking going on, right? I can reach out to you, I can see who you are, where you are, and with each other we create a room twice as big as the one here in Brussels. All right. As I promised you, it's time to zoom in into one specific project and really see what this impact on a local level could look like. So I'm proud to invite with me in the studio here, Anders Bro. You're from the county of Örebro. I hope I pronounced that correctly, which is in Sweden, a little west of Stockholm, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah, welcome.
Thank you.
And you are part of the RACE project, which is all about increasing the competitive, or it's part of the topic, small and medium enterprise competitiveness. This is all about social enterprises.
Yeah.
Now, that's a thing. How are social enterprises defined in Sweden? What do they mean to you?
A year ago, we were focusing on work integrating social enterprises. That was the topic for many, many years in Sweden. Integrating people far from the labor market, for example. But a year ago, we had a new national government strategy saying that social enterprises is more than that. So today, if you had asked me the question a year ago, it was quite easy to
be focused on the different
precisely. We only had slightly less than 500 work integrating social enterprises in Sweden. Today, no one really knows how many we have because we have a new definition presented by the government.
How is it broadened? What does it mean now in
Well,
Sweden?
today there is the enterprises don't need to have a focus on work integrating people anymore. It's about having a social need, social goal as the foundation for the company, and sort of measuring the effects of the enterprise on that way, and also reinvest parts of the profit into the company, into the enterprise.
So they're not merely driven by shareholder value or profits, but they have a much broader stake.
Yeah, precisely. So, and that makes it more difficult because no one really knows actually how many social enterprises we have in Sweden.
Yeah.
The government.
So this typically could be a question that you could submit to the policy learning platform, right? How do we properly define the boundaries of social enterprise?
Yeah, and one of the tricky things is that we have a national agency called Statistics Sweden in Sweden, and they've been doing research and studies on this topic for many years, and they are delivering every second year a national survey, and they've been covering parts of this policy field, but not the entire field. So what we are doing now in my county is we are doing the first regional survey ever on social enterprises in the county, trying to get a grip, trying to learn how many there are and what they do and so on. So,
because if you have no data, you cannot measure if you have any effects.
Yeah, precisely. That's difficult.
Well, it's the effects that we're really interested in. Yeah. So to fast forward, you joined the Interreg project, RAISE. You looked in many different countries, in the UK, in Spain, in Hungary, I believe. Yeah. What is the effect that you brought back to Örebro? What are some of the things you've learned?
We've learned a lot. I would say that without the RAISE project, we wouldn't be as on as we are today on this topic. So we've learned a lot. From the Irish, we've learned the importance of building up a bank structure for civil society in general. Yeah. So that is one thing that we are trying to do in a couple of years now. We have a new project on that as well. From the Spanish colleagues, we've learned a lot about measuring and valuing social impact, for example. And from the Scottish colleagues, we've learned a lot about how to sort of build up a system where different agencies and different organizations work together in their support to social enterprises. Because in Sweden, the only organization really supporting social enterprises is one nationwide organization called Companion, which is a good name, but they are alone in supporting social enterprises today.
Exactly.
So we need to do more.
New financing structures, new organization models, new measurement tools. So for you, it's very evident what the learnings are from the different plans. Now, I was reading up a bit on the RAISE project and on the good practices that you share on the project, because if you've never done that, I invite you to do it. Go on the Interreg website, go into the platform, and you don't have to sign up or anything. You can just browse the different Interreg projects and look at their good practices. And one of the things I found is some of the stuff you guys from Sweden shared with the international partners. One had to do with a caravan. Could you explain what that was?
Yeah, a couple of years ago. First of all, let me go back a step. We have, when discussing these issues, this topic back in the county, we have a network of 40 organizations from the public sector and from the civil society and social economy. And we meet on a regular basis and we do things together. And a couple of years ago, we realized that we needed to do something more active in the county. So one of the partners in the network bought a caravan, used caravan. So it was quite cheap. And we decided to take the caravan on a tour in the county, meeting people where they are. Not where the agency is.
Right? I read up on the page. That really stuck with me. Maybe we should share that with our audience.
Well, the county, the place I come from, has a long tradition of producing shoes.
Exactly.
All right. So and there's a saying in Sweden, or at least in the county I come from, that people who is wearing the shoes, they know where it aches. Yeah. So that's the story behind that. So we tried to reach out to people where they are. So we went out for a tour during a year, met with people in different parts of the county, and it was really amazing and it was really interesting. In most of the places we met a large number of people and they had so many ideas on how to deal with societal challenges. In some places we didn't meet anyone. because it was raining and, you know...
Just bad timing.
Bad timing. So, but anyway, the tour was interesting because we were there. There were people from the public sector, and there were also people from the social economy taking active part in the tour. So we were at least 4 or 5 people every time, with different competences and different kinds of resources, meeting people with ideas.
Yeah,
yep.
And I already learned behind the scenes that this is, for example, a practice that is now being implemented in Spain, I believe, in Catalonia. Well, we're taking the caravan. So this is where, what I like, where it really becomes practical, and one of the good practices is get out of the office, right? Get to where the people know where the shoes ache.
You don't meet people at the office.
If you would have to, because in the end, the leverage really becomes if you can take the learnings and turn them into action plans or into actually policy changes. Can you share, as a final example, what policy changes have you implemented at the county level?
Yeah, 2 things. First of all, we have, as any other region, we have a regional development strategy, and during the process of the project, we have transformed the regional development strategy into a new one, and the new one is a completely different one compared to the old one. The old one was a traditional one, focusing on, you know, the traditional growth concept, whereas the new one is wider and try to grasp the concept of growth in another way. So,
in more parameters.
Yes, precisely, and it definitely focuses on social enterprises as well, social economy also. So that's a new thing, and the second policy change is that we, during the project period, also developed a new policy on social economy and civil society, which is a brand new policy. We haven't had that one before. So we are using that policy as an instrument in doing more stuff, in doing a lot of activities in the county.
Yeah.
It's a 4-year policy.
And what do you hope in 4 years or in 10 years, what the effect will be that the people of your county will experience from this?
First of all, I think it's a way of putting social enterprises and social economy on the political agenda. And compared to the situation today with the situation 2 years ago, we can see dramatic changes because the awareness has increased among the politicians and my colleagues at the county level, but also on the grassroots level. Social enterprises see themselves as bearer of economic growth, and they see themselves as organizations that is capable of doing something together.
Instead of some kind of charity, social project on the side.
Yeah,
right?
Precisely.
Yeah. Very interesting, beautiful. Before I let you go, let me quickly look over your shoulder to Petra. Petra, any specific questions for Andres about the race project coming in at the moment?
No,
she's shaking her head.
No.
If that happens anywhere in the next few minutes, send in your questions. We'll bring them to you later on. And obviously, you can find Andres and the other project partners in the Policy Learning platform, right?
Yep.
Andres, thank you very much for sharing your story, and have a good event.
Thank you.
And I bet by now you must be super curious about this policy learning platform, because that is the term that keeps echoing through the room here. So in a minute, first of all, stay tuned, because on stage we're going to hear more of these practical stories from different projects in the next hour. And next up here in the studio, I'm going to talk to Magda Anagnostou about the exact workings of the policy learning platform, what you can find out, how it works, and what better to kick that off with a little introduction video of 1 minute of the policy learning platform.
So beyond the projects, the program has launched a policy learning platform. The idea is to open up the benefits and the knowledge of the program to all policymakers across Europe. The member of the community will have access to thematic knowledge, but they will also be able to join e-learning activities like chat, forums, discussions. Public authorities can also request peer reviews, or they can also apply to the help desk to get specific policy advice from the experts of the platform. Last but not least, the program offers a good practice database. The idea of this good practice database is to foster connection among practitioners of regional developments, and in a way to become a source of inspiration for all policymakers in Europe that are looking for new solutions and new ideas to solve their regional problems and challenges.
Yes, the policy learning platform of Interreg Europe, as it's explained, the second leg. And who better to tell us all about that than Magda Anagnostou. Good to have you back here in our little studio.
Thank you very much, Gerrit.
Magda, what did you bring with you?
I'm holding the instrument, right?
Yeah.
I'm holding the solution.
Swap our
yes,
hashtag?
Please.
All right. Now, before I take away the Europe Cooperates hashtag, Julie, you were waving your hand during the clip. What is happening at hashtag Europe Cooperates?
Well, Gerrit, I wanted to share with you this wonderful picture that we've got. So we've asked you guys to share some tweets and share some selfies of you watching us. And we just wanted to give a shout out to Ben, who's Benoit, who's watching us live from his office. Hi, Ben. It's great to see you. Thank you.
Thanks, Julie, and keep doing that. So
That's great.
If you want your 5 seconds of fame, make sure you tweet out a picture of who you are and where you're watching us on hashtag Europe Cooperates or, I guess, hashtag policy learning. So, Magda, let's dive into that.
Right.
We keep hearing the word policy learning projects. The project phase are open. Last call just funded. What other opportunities are there for policymakers to learn and exchange?
Indeed, we are in a moment of the programming period where the funding opportunities for projects are over. We just heard that. So, number one possibility and opportunity, I would say, for policy learning is indeed for all regions in Europe, the policy learning platform of Interreg Europe. So, what is it about? Let's be concrete. It's actually a spectrum of services which are there to support the regions for developing and delivering better policies. That is what concretely it is. We hear different words, getting inspiration, sharing solutions, participating in events, learning about what's new in EU, get an insight in project results and achievements. But we need to structure this a little bit for people to understand what we are talking about.
Exactly. So basically, it's leveraging all the knowledge and outcomes of the first round of calls and projects and taking that to everybody else.
Exactly.
What kind of services can we find in the platform?
That's interesting, actually. Just to make things clear for people, I would gather them in 3 groups. One element which they follow a little bit the wish of a region to get involved and engaged. So a light, let's say, involvement or engagement will go into what we call the knowledge hub. This is our knowledge bank, let's say, it's the treasure. What we can find there, we can find these so-called policy briefs. The policy briefs actually, we have this expert team which are looking on the results, on the good practice of the projects, and they bring the most interesting ones in these so-called policy briefs. But we also have news from what is happening in the EU panorama. So it's one-stop shop, let's say, that someone who is interested in a specific thematic area can see what is happening in EU agenda. Yeah. What is very important also in the Knowledge Hub is the so-called good practices database, right?
We heard that number 2, right?
Yes,
somewhat.
indeed.
Yeah,
I put it in the knowledge area, right? Yeah. So this good practices database, it's important to say that there you will find information about a good practice, which gives you an insight on the resources needed, on the difficulties that were encountered, on what is the evidence of success, and also the opinion of an expert, what is worth looking at on this good practice.
Yeah, and I think that's important to underline. I spent some time in the good practice database last night. First of all, I noticed it's super well structured, right? So it's very easy to digest. And I like the validation. It's just not some kind of idea somewhere tried, but there's an expert who actually has reviewed it.
That's very important, actually, the human resources behind it. Otherwise, it becomes just some piece of another information, can be lost. But what we're doing with the expert team is that we get the brains behind, we look and we analyze, we make sure that it's well evidenced, it's very important, it's understandable, it's easy, it's quick to understand, and that we have all the relevant information so people don't have to spend time and looking and finding out. Everything is there clear for them. And behind, there is also the expert team to analyze further, to give guidance, to walk them through the database. Yeah. So one element we talked about is this knowledge hub.
Yeah.
Number 2, you heard about this amazing community, right?
Yes.
This is
over
the community,
16,000
people. And we were talking about what kind of opportunities now people have that there are no projects. Indeed, we don't have anymore the structured way of project partnership, but we have this 16 larger community, 16,000 people, imagine. Half of them are public authorities. 2/3 of them are not even project partners. So it's such a big community opportunity for sharing and learning. So this is another way of getting involved. But what does it mean concretely, right?
How does it work when I'm behind my desk?
Concretely in the community, there are online and offline events. That's important. What we are doing thematic workshops. We are doing thematic webinars. We are doing also, with the thematic webinars, we involve everybody. We open up. This is quite interesting. We are also doing the so-called matchmaking sessions. So in this kind of opportunities of a big events, we will bring together people in smaller groups to discuss a specific policy challenge. So these are offline and online events, a series of things that are happening. I would really invite our audience to go and look on the calendar of the Policy Learning Platform.
Yeah.
So a lot of activity there, and the matchmaking sessions, I talked about it, but maybe this will evolve in bigger group discussions, thematic sessions. So we are there to hear the voice of people and see what is needed, how to activate these 16,000 people. It's an incredible treasure, I would say, right?
Exactly. And then in the community online, if you don't have a chance to come to these physical events, it's also some kind of like dedicated LinkedIn type of thing, right? You have profiles of people, their organization details, you can contact them directly. So you really directly find the peers in all the different countries that you need. This is very important indeed, because through the profiling of the people, when you register in the platform, you will be able to identify what is your, to mention, to indicate what is your expertise. Then like-minded people will be easy to find each other, right? Beautiful.
Like I'm from Eastern Macedonia. I'm working, I don't know, on green public procurement. I'd like to know what else is happening in green public procurement. I would like to know who are the other people in my region. So I get into the community and I very quickly find out who is there and can help me, and I can open a discussion with them. Exactly. In the meantime, if you're with us, Petra has opened a little poll to ask you, if you've been to the Policy Learning Platform, which service of these services is actually one of the favorite ones you would like to use or already have used. So take a minute to fill that out. We'll come to the results quite soon. Because I'm curious, with all these services in place, do you have a nice story, a nice example, because that's what today is all about, right? Dig up the achievements of a team that has really benefited from the platform. Right. I think it's a good tradition to talk about the third group of services, which is what we call the expert support and help desk. I think this is really when we get into the heart, because it's personalized, it's tailor-made, it's answering specific needs. So when the region wants to be really getting involved and getting support for policy change, that's the place. What exactly is this? It's two different, or let's say, complementary services. One element is the expert help desk. That is, I think Katerina summarized very nicely. It's easy, it's quick, and it works. That means that a region, you're facing a challenge, let's say rural innovation, I don't know, SME, internationalization, circular economy. You don't want to go through a project partnership with this 5 years of engagement of different administrative elements. You want a quick solution. Yeah. Right. So you need to start from somewhere. In the expert help desk, very easily, you will describe quickly your challenge, and then the thematic expert behind will come back to you and will say, listen, we have this group of good practices that you have to look at. We have this group of people that you need to talk to. We have this reading further that you will get inspired from. Exactly. So already they will really narrow you down. Exactly. Yeah, beautiful. That saves a lot of time. That's easy and quick, and it works. No. And there is this other element that we will talk a lot about it nowadays, I think, about the so-called peer reviews. Beautiful, because I see that the room is filling up. Katerina is ready, but I must think you're curious about the peer review, so stay tuned all the way to the plenary. And then we talk about peer review with Elena right after the break. Exactly. Let's go to stage. Thank you, Magda. Thank you very much, Gerrit.